So I've been on a DIY kick lately and I wanted to use up some of these extra boxes that I have just lying around, and I also wanted to do some K-pop inspired DIYs and to help organize my room a little bit better. So the first video I'm going to make is this DIY on storage boxes. So I have a birch box here, but you can use any type of leftover cardboard box like shoe boxes or just leftover boxes that something came in that you no longer need. Instead of throwing it away, you can repurpose it and use it for storage. So the other items that you'll need are some decorations, some type of wrapping paper, some markers, some scissors, some scotch tape, a ruler, and preferably some Mod Podge. You'll see me use scotch tape in this video to use to sit my decorations on the box, but I definitely recommend Mod Podge because tape is just not nearly as effective. However, I filmed this at like 2 in the morning. I didn't have any Mod Podge and I couldn't go get any, so definitely get some Mod Podge. So the first thing you want to do is just lay your wrapping paper out flat, and you can see I have double-sided wrapping paper here. You definitely don't have to have that. That's what I had on hand, so I'm going to use both sides to make the design a little bit different. So just lay your box onto the wrapping paper and just take a marker and trace around the outside. And you want to do this for both the top and the bottom of the box if they're not the same size. This birch box is pretty much the same size, so I'm actually just tracing the lid twice. And this is to go inside the lid and also on the floor of the box, just to make sure that the entire box is wrapped. So after you trace it, you just want to cut these pieces out and set them aside for later. After you have already cut the inside pieces, you want to take the bottom of your box and just lay it out on the wrapping paper and measure it. So just pull the side up of the wrapping paper like I am in this video to make sure it will go down on the inside, and you want to make sure it touches the bottom of the box. Like, it doesn't have to go all the way across the bottom of the box, but as long as it goes over the sides and touches the bottom of the box. So just cut a big enough piece of paper for that and you should be good. And then you want to measure the lid of your box and do the same exact thing. Make sure it will touch the bottom of the box. First, you just want to lay out your paper for either the lid of your box or the bottom of your box, and just lay it out flat. And then set your box in the center and put a little piece of tape on the bottom and just tape it down to the center. This will just help ensure that it doesn't move around while you're trying to draw lines and cut. And so take your ruler and go to the edge, just the very corner of the box, and draw a straight line out. And you want to do this on both sides, just like this. And then as you're turning it, you want to make sure there are 2 lines coming out of each corner, so it makes little rectangles on the wrapping paper. And as you can see, I'm also drawing a 3rd line here. That needs to be about 1 inch in width. It can be a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller. I don't think it really matters, but just draw 2 lines on the longer sides of the box like this, so you should have those little columns coming off of the long sides, and you'll see why here in a second. So after you've drawn all your lines like this, you want to cut out the smaller rectangle, and what that means is start at that 2nd line that you drew and leave that 1st line on the long side. So you can see that I left that 1 line there on the long side, so that it looks like there's 2 little flaps that you can fold over inside and push into the box. So just cut out the smaller rectangle like that, and you want to do this on all 4 of your rectangles. After you've done that, you want to cut just a little slit like this on the short sides of the box, and this is just so you can fold those little flaps over. So just snip it without detaching it. Next, you want to fold over on the lines that you drew on the long side, so just fold those 2 little flaps over on both sides of the box. and then you want to flip it over on the inside just like you're wrapping a present, and just form fit it to the box. And this may take a little bit of maneuvering, but just push it over, tape it down, and then start working with the sides, because the sides are a little bit more difficult depending on your box and how big it is and how much paper you have. Definitely cut off any excess paper, but be sure that it'll still touch the bottom of the box like mine is here. So just fool with it until you can get it to adhere very closely to the sides, and once it starts to adhere, just tape it down really securely. So after you get both of the long sides done, go ahead and move on to the short sides. I have a lot of excess paper on the short sides, so I trimmed mine a little bit before taping it down, just because that's a lot of paper and it just adds to the bulk. So just trim it if necessary and then tape it down, and ensure you tape it pretty securely. It doesn't have to go all the way around, like I said, because we're going to put that other piece from earlier on the inside, and we'll tape that down a lot. So after you've done that, take the piece that you cut earlier to go on the inside. I actually flipped my wrapping paper over just to give it a little bit of difference, so it's not the same exact thing on the entire box. Trim it if necessary, because it might be a little bit too big depending on how you traced your box. So just lay it so it fits exactly in there, and then go around the entire perimeter of the inside of the box with tape. Now I didn't record myself doing that, but I definitely went around the entire perimeter with some clear tape to ensure that it would stay and hopefully not rip. So once you've done that to the lid or the bottom of the box, then just go ahead and repeat the same exact process for the opposite piece, and there you go. This is what it should look like when it's done. And you can leave it like this if you wanted to, but like I said, I wanted some K-pop inspired DIY, so I'm actually going to decorate mine. I cut out this piece of, it's just printer paper actually, with a picture I found on the internet with an album title, and like I said, I was going to use Mod Podge to put it down, but it was 2 a.m. I didn't have any, so I just stuck a little piece of tape behind it, and I'm going to go back and put Mod Podge over it to seal it later when I get some. But that's my finished design for that piece, and you can get super creative with this. You don't have to print out something. You could draw on it by hand, you could put ribbons, or hot glue some little pieces of whatever you like to it, but I went with a pretty simple design for this one. As you can see here, I actually made 2 of these. This other one I made the previous night, and I wrapped it in different paper. I stuck some ribbon on it and just taped it to the inside, and I drew the BTS on with Sharpie instead of printing it out. So you can get really creative and do a lot of different stuff with these. But I actually wanted to use mine for photo card storage, so I put photo cards in the white one, and then I used the silver one to put postcards and buttons and just other random stuff that I didn't really have anywhere to put. And so this sort of helps me get the clutter off of my shelves, and I can just put it in a pretty box and just set it back on the shelf, and it takes up a lot less space. So you could use these for anything, especially if you get a bigger box for, I don't know, you could even put albums in it if you really wanted to store something much larger on your shelf. But I'm just using it for photo cards. Actually, I'm not even using it for photo cards anymore. When I made this video, I was using it for photo cards, but then I got really irritated with having photo cards in a box, so now photo cards are in a binder, and I have excess stuff in these boxes. So they just sit on my shelf like this, and they don't take up a lot of space, but they still look nice, and they don't look just like a bunch of old boxes sitting around like I had before. So this looks a lot better, and I'm really pleased with this DIY, and so I hope this helps somebody, and maybe you can redecorate some boxes and get some good storage use out of it. So good luck!